So we will go over the patch notes right now. So let's do that, which is, 318 on the PTU Wave 1. And as many of you already know, but as some of you may not, Wave 1 access is not very easy to get. It is either you're an Evocati member already and you've been able to play 318 like myself, or you have a subscription to Star Citizen, which, this is one of the few things that it does for you. Minimum $10 a month. There's 2 levels, $10 or $20 a month. Or you've spent a minimum of $1,000 on the game. If you have not done those things, you do not have access to Wave 1. That is essentially how it works. So in order to get access, those are the 2 ways. I do not suggest, especially for this particular patch, that you purchase a subscription or anything to hit a threshold to get access to 318, as if they are going to achieve an open PTU at a minimum, they will be pushing it to Wave 2 and Wave 3 and open quite quickly, would be my guess. But make your own choices, okay? Because I'm not really going to make those choices for you or judge you for them, but I don't suggest that you do that. In terms of known issues, there's going to be a few more than what we see here. I think the one that's going to be the most brutal is this. Elevators and trams are jittery, as we have to use them so much. But yeah. Other than that, it's just going to be a lot of PES-related issues, I think. But for features, Daymar Crash Site, this is a Montreal team thing. It's a Star Runner and a 600i like combined in the Crash Site, and there's probably going to be AI there. There's going to be missions. Think the Derelict Reclaimer, but another version of that, right? Nothing crazy. Now, this sand cave thing is going to be funny. It is the a cave, and that's really it. There's 20 sand caves, and they all have no gameplay in them. But they do have a land crustacean known as a stone bug, which is a new harvestable, as well the stone bug shell. I don't know if the bug is there and alive, but the shells are, and we don't know if they're going to be valuable, but we can assume that they won't be because none of the other stuff is valuable. Racetrack locations. This is something I wasn't expecting. I was expecting them to have quantum travel locations, but they're showing how to get to them right now. So you jump to a location and then, it's relatively close to these other ones, which is cool. Grey Cat PTV racetrack. We know where that's going to be. Definitely want to check that out today. Physicalized cargo. Again, we've touched on this so much. Cargo boxes, SCU size 1 are physicalized. We can move them with a tractor beam. When you buy from a commodity kiosk or sell to it, they appear and disappear like the old ones, but now they're physical. If your ship explodes, people can get these boxes. Soft death is a thing, which, believe it or not, soft death I don't think is mentioned in these patch notes. Security Post Korea reactivation. There's a new update to Security Post Korea. It's online now. Inside Korea, criminal players will now be able to trigger a boss spawn after killing several AI. After the boss has been killed, players will be able to loot them and find a code on the body to unlock a terminal inside the evidence storage room. After unlocking, players will be able to activate the contraband machine to dispense drugs. Players will be able to keep getting drugs out of the dispenser until a set amount of items are generated. So this is not the original pitch for this. It wasn't just going to be drugs. It was going to be random items. I assume that will still be a thing, but we'll have to see. Along with Security Post Korea reactivation, we're introducing a new mission type called Retake Location. This is the opposite side. So I consider this the first dynamic event ever in Star Citizen. Okay, because a player goes, they make it happen, and then there's a mission to retake it, and it brings players together. It is dynamic. So that's kind of cool. Platform assault on Orison. Bunker missions on Orison. Nothing crazy there. Time trial racing missions are taking those racetracks that we just talked about and providing actual missions, your best lap times, all sorts of things like that. associated with this. Very cool. And then they doubled this up by accident because salvage hull striping is right here. It's the same thing. We all know what this is. If you don't yet, you haven't been paying attention, but you can now basically mine spaceships for what's called RMC, which is recycled material, basically. I don't remember what RMC exactly stands for. Recycled material composite. That's right. And your ship will create those. You can use that recycled material composite to either sell it and make money, and apparently it's going to be incredibly valuable, or it can be used to fill a multi-tool, which is how you repair your ship. So pretty cool like that. You'll go on the outside of your ship and repair it. And then sandbox prison activities. We've heard a lot about these as well. There's a new suite of missions and a mission that gets you out of prison in particular, like an escape mission. There'll be NPCs there. They'll have loot on them, all sorts of stuff like that. Obviously, new ships. The Drake Vulture is in with the multi-tool salvage attachment as well being a thing. Cortec, persistent entity streaming. It's one thing. They've introduced it to the game, but this is obviously a very, very big deal. And this is the first step to hopefully many steps of this game growing and becoming a lot better. We won't really be able to see it, I don't think, very well in this patch, especially not in the PTU, but hopefully soon there'll be some matchmaking and we'll be able to get back into servers that we were in previously. What this does, if you guys don't know, is it the ability to if you can get back into the same server that you were in, you will be able to see anything that you've done and interacted with in that server. So if I left something on the ground, it should be in that specific server. But just like most other multiplayer games, think like a DayZ lobby. There's US version, US server 1. But if that crashes, you have no way of saying, I'd like to go back to US server 1 yet. But hopefully soon. Feature updates, more derelict outposts that we saw in Microtech. They're spreading them out. There'll be 30 of them. Rivers, it's still River Tech and not much to do at Rivers. But there's a lot of them. I think somebody in Discord said 40, which is pretty crazy. They added the parallax window interior shader. If you guys have seen that, they're in all landing zones now, which is a good look from far away. But when it gets close up, it's a little dicey. But then complete rework of restricted areas. This is actually pretty sick. You will now be able to fly much lower around everywhere. And if you go to a restricted area, you'll have a time warning and you'll be teleported back to the port and given a criminal rating or a crime stat of some kind and a fine to pay off, and your ship will be impounded. So actually kind of cool way to do it. But yeah. Caterpillar crash site improvements, derelict settlement improvements, just general polish to those. They added NPCs to the Caterpillar mission. So these are some of my favorite missions, and now they've improved on them even more. NPC loadout updates. This is weird because their loadouts are not like the loot included in them, just what they wear. So that's kind of whatever to me. Courier missions. They're adding reputation. There are 4 delivery reputations in every delivery mission type. I'll go through these eventually. I doubt we'll get to them today. Quality of life inventory updates. Stacking. Transfer all. And there was some other thing. Toggle options for to always show or hide item ports for equipping gear. Very cool stuff there. And then crime stat updates. We just sort of talked about those. Crime stat 1 and 2, you can land anywhere, do anything. It says if you don't have a crime stat, you pay it off. And then if you do too many of those, you'll end up with a crime stat 3. Crime stat 3 automatically happens when you murder somebody, and then it's basically the way it's been, except you can only clear your crime stat at SPK. Ground vehicle changes, not very relevant to me, but yeah. Increased shield down delay from 5 to 10 seconds. That's a big change. Greatly increased the hull health of the 600i. Gen 12 rendering. This should have performance updates for us. And then a bunch of bug fixes. But most of these bug fixes, from what I can tell, were like Evocati issues that they're showing here. And yeah, then there's some Marina Commander patch notes stuff, which mostly was shared recently in the patch watch. But increase free flight from 8 to 24, decrease player count for Last Stand from 6 to 2. Required player count for it to start. Remove third-person camera from elimination, which is actually pretty sick. Maps should be a little bit better. Classic races allowed ship list expanded. And then a bunch of bug fixes for that. Fixed 10 other crashes, various optimizations. You guys can check that one out on your own if you want. I'm not going to really go over that. So with that said, I probably have the patch downloaded now. I'm going to go play it.